Beauty of doing this. And welcome to Business Focus, everybody. Great to have you with us. I am joined by Mike Roth. If you don't know him, you probably know his voice. You hear the commercials on WKRC, the most experienced Sandler sales trainer in Cincinnati, and so on and so
my
forth.
slogan.
Sure, I got you.
Okay.
You're obviously a sales guru. You're out there trying to, I remember from your ads, you don't do these rah-rah sessions, and when you're ready to get serious about your sales, give me a call.
I like to describe myself as tough, expensive.
That's right. That's
maybe
right.
even abrasive, but I get phenomenal results.
And at the end of the day, that's really what somebody is paying for. That's why somebody's hiring you. Tell me a little bit about what it is you do, how you got started in this, and how you can help some businesses.
Okay, well, I actually got started in Sandler as a company owner in the interconnect business and the computer networking business in California about 23, 24 years ago. Reagan turned off Star Wars, sales fell like a rock, and myself and my competitors who sold to the aerospace industry and second-tier aerospace were dying. We were staring at bankruptcy, and got involved with the only Sandler guy in the whole state of California then. Didn't believe it would work for me. In 8 weeks, I sold one client a system using the Sandler selling system for $35,500, which was 10 grand more than list, to the same client that I offered the exact same system to 3 months earlier for $11,500.
Really?
And
you're like, I'm onto something here.
What the heck? It just happened there. I couldn't explain it. And when that happened, I put my whole company in the Sandler selling system. And at the end of the year, we were up 47% in phones and 43% in computers. We have one guy who was selling advertising on hold. He got thrown out of the program because he was untrainable. Randy was a nice guy.
All those advertising guys and PR guys are untrainable, Mike.
Hey, I don't know about that. We've worked with a lot, and they are some of them are trainable. Randy was an ex-rock and roll musician who came to work.
Those are even worse.
Yeah. Anyway, his sales were down 10%, even though we sold at full list price one of his systems with every phone system that we sold during that year. And at that point, I was thoroughly convinced that our business was going uphill. While I was watching my competitors going down, I was scratching my head and said, I'm not going to tell them about Sandler.
Right.
Which I didn't. And the business, my wife got transferred to Cincinnati 20 years ago with Heinz.
Oh, sure.
And we elected to move. I thought about opening a phone and computer business here, but this was an AT&T town.
Sure.
And I decided to work for the Sandler guy in Cincinnati.
Right.
So I called Dave Sandler up and said, who's your guy in Cincinnati? And he said, well, that guy just got retired by something like not paying taxes. Maybe it's you, Mike.
Maybe it could be you, Mike.
The next thing I know, I find myself in Baltimore, and I bought the business in '92.
You're like Victor Kayam. I like the company so much.
He bought the race.
I bought it.
Loved the race and bought the company.
That's right.
Well, that's exactly what I did here.
So when you look around, obviously you hear stories about the economy and, oh my God, my business and this and that. And obviously as a marketing firm or a PR firm, we're always pushing customers or clients. You got to do something. I know the business isn't going to magically fall from trees. So I know that what we do may not work, but I know doing nothing is definitely not going to work.
Well,
how are you pushing these guys?
Albert Einstein, one of my favorites. Doing the same thing over and over again. It's not going to get different results. To get the same results, which were poor, you got to do something different.
Right.
We see a lot of different things happening in the business community right now.
Sure.
We see a lot of companies that have woken up to the new reality and are digging in and saying, we've got to train our people, we've got to get better, we've got to be tougher and stronger, and we're going to take more market share at a higher margin. Whether that's in a weak industry like construction or a stronger manufacturing company. People who run companies are interested in growth of margin, growth of their company.
At least they should be, right?
They should be, right.
I find that there's still too many owners and businesses that are not anywhere near as aggressive or, I guess, willing to put themselves out there as maybe they should be. Well, now's a great time to gain market share.
Look, over the last year, the pool of really top sales and sales management talent has been extremely large. And it was easy for my clients to pick only the top 8 players. today, those 8 players, in 30 days after they decide they're going to leave where they are, they'll have 2 or 3 offers. One of my black belt guys, black belt is a really high level of Sandler proficiency, you know, earnings in mid 6 figures.
Wow.
This guy says to me, Mike, I've gone as far as I can with my company owner. I'm moving to Denver. I'll be there July 1st. By that time, I'll have 3 job offers and I'll figure out what I'm going to do.
That's a great place to be.
Hey, there are a lot of people like that. He's an A player.
Right.
Companies that don't have a good search model to know who they're looking for will pass on the top 8 players in favor of the mediocre players.
Why is that?
Well, the mediocre players are such nice people. They interview the personnel department loves them.
Yes, gotcha.
I'd rather have them hire the ornery son of a bitch.
Right.
Who gets the job done.
Right.
Okay? Who, you know, not complain and do the prospect meetings, you know, 8 to 5, and do his sales homework from 10 to 12 p.m.
Sure, right.
That's the guy who's going to be a winner. They're out there. Lots of times company owners hire a guy on interview who they think is Tom Cruise. First day on the job,
right?
They get Pee Wee Herman.
I like that, but it's true. I mean, and organizations, they tend to be so damn process heavy sometimes that the top salespeople are like, I don't want to deal with this. I just, you know, turn me loose. Let me do my thing. So what does Sandler bring that really helps these sales folks become superstars?
I think Sandler brought a couple of things to the equation. The first one was, and this is part of the marketing tagline, finding power in reinforcement. When you look at all sales training organizations, and we had an agency do this, and we paid a god-awful amount of money.
Oh, sure.
For that marketing research.
People.
They told us that the first thing that Sandler is different than everyone else in the business, we are the only ones that believe in long-term positive reinforcement. I do over 40 hours a month of training.
Wow.
Okay? Both sales, sales management, networking, customer service. We have 40 hours available. Not everyone needs the same material.
Sure.
Not everyone needs the same number of repetitions. And companies are going to start and hire new people, so they have to have a place to come in without doing a big boot camp,
right?
Just for that one individual.
Right.
So that was difference number one, long-term positive reinforcement. As we're talking here today in 300 odd training centers around the world, over 250 here in the States, someone is training in Sandler.
Is going through it right now.
Okay.
So if there's, you know, obviously business focus is designed, right.
Difference two.
Yeah.
Sandler's the only psychological selling system.
Okay.
Everybody else.
You get into their brains.
Hey, it's too hard to sell something to anybody anyway.
You're right.
So instead, we let other people
come to the conclusion. Yes,
that they must fly.
Absolutely.
When they come to that conclusion, there's no stopping them.
Sure.
You know.
I love it.
You know, I just bought some high-end audio microphones, and I came to the conclusion I wanted to use a nice cheap microphone.
Sure.
$80 was
that's more than enough. Yeah, that'll pick up what needs to be picked up.
I discovered, and when I sat down and talked to people I know in the professional broadcast business, no matter what it's going to happen later, we want to get the high quality on the front end.
Right.
And I went out and sought out the vendors to buy the equipment. Okay, I was there to buy.
Right.
The question was, do you have what I'm looking for?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, the last piece that we had to buy was a windscreen pop filter.
Oh, sure. You bet.
Because it didn't come with one. And I walked into a retail store, and he said, I got one here for $25.
Sure.
I said, that's great. I'm taking it. He said, it's the only one I have. I said, that's great.
Yeah, I'll take it. Sure. Because you're in the market to buy.
Right. Now, whether you're selling rocks, you're selling landscaping, heating, air conditioning, law services, asphalt, paving,
right, sure.
whatever industry you're in, your sales team should be helping other people become convinced in their own mind that they have to buy.
Right.
Even in public relations.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at what my agency does on the front end with the marketing and PR, you need the people on the back end getting out there, closing it, selling it, because marketing and PR in and of itself isn't going to ultimately close the sale. It just might make somebody a little bit more aware that you're a great company, right? But
hey,
you got to get out there and sell it.
My earliest experience with PR goes back to the 70s when I was working for a division that became Cable and Wireless. I was the 5th employee in New York City. We were competing head-to-head with AT&T, New York Telephone, and the CEO had a connection with some guy who wrote for electronic news, a newspaper. Mm-hmm. And every Monday when that paper came out and there was a story about us on the front page, right, written by this reporter, my phone would ring off the hook.
Sure.
We would go out to see the people. We closed them.
Awesome.
And
that's how it's supposed to work.
Hey, this reporter's word was worth a lot more than spending $100,000 on pretty brochures or print ads. And I became a great believer.
Right, in the power of how that worked.
Look, when people called because of their belief in this newspaper or electronic news that we had a solution.
Right.
Those were good prospects.
Yep.
Did we close 100% of them? No,
but
we probably
right,
closed 85% of them.
Sure, that's great. Well, in closing, Mike, what do you see, some business owners or leaders not doing as well as they should, and what's a solution, and how do they get in touch with you?
Good. The solution that business owners really have to do, they really have to have an assessment of their team.
Okay. Sure.
That's usually the first step. Sometimes we need a pre-first step. When I talk to a business owner, he has no long-term strategic plan. I say to him, okay, show me the plan for the next 24 months. Mm-hmm. Okay, not the next 30 days, how you're going to make payroll.
Right.
Right. What's the strategic plan to take your company that survived? It was a $30 million a year company 4 years ago, and you survived this little recession, and you're now doing $9 million. And you cut to the bone, and now you want to go back to 30 or 40 million.
Right.
Show me your strategic plan to get there. You'd be surprised, Roger. Less than half of the people that I asked to see that actually have one.
Oh, I'm not surprised. We're in the same business. That's why they call me. More firms should get a strategic plan. That's where we always start. Start with a plan.
That's one of the first places we start when we have a company that's cut back and wants to grow back. And you can't grow back the way you were. You got to grow back to be something different
that can continue to expand.
Right. That might mean you're going to sell off a whole division.
Sure.
That might mean
look at P&G.
Look, you're going to have to put different people in the organization. Right. The second thing we do is we'll evaluate. If you have a sales team, we're going to evaluate the whole sales team.
Right.
Okay. Find out who's trainable, who isn't. Do we have round pegs and square holes? You can do that if the round peg is small enough to go into the square hole.
Fair enough.
You've just got a lot of slop.
Right.
So we got to fix that in sales teams. And evaluation and diagnostic is a big part of my business. One client has asked me to evaluate the sales compensation plan for his VPs of sales that haven't been changed since the gentlemen were hired 6, 7, and 8 years ago. Wow, we got a different economy.
Right.
If people want to get a hold of me, the easiest way to get a hold of me is call my office during the business day, 513-753-9400, extension 102, or you can send me an email at mikeroth@rothconsulting.net.
And if you're watching this, that information will be right below on the blog, so folks will be able to get in touch with you. And let's shake things up, Mike, and get out there and sell some more for these guys and get this economy rocking and rolling again. The time to sit back on the sidelines is over. You got to get out or get out of the way.
I think that the time to sit on the sidelines is way over. I think the players in the marketplace extremely clearly are investing in their people, and they're going after market share. The smaller competitors, the guys who don't invest in their people, who don't take their team to the next level, that don't have that strategic plan are going to find themselves overwhelmed. Market share is changing.
For sure.
There are a lot of good people in the marketplace. The people who, a year ago, when their boss said, well, you have to sell twice as much as you sold last year to make the same amount you made the prior year, and the guy, the A player, sat there and took it. Now that A player is seeking out other people.
Where can I? Yeah,
you won't find his resume on Monster.com because he or she is too smart for that.
Right.
But teams are changing. People are changing industries.
Right.
There's a lot of business out there. A lot of business. I think business has grown. I think people who are doing manufacturing infrastructure have sold off their inventory. So if you would, the shelf is extremely light or empty. So the economy is going up for the next 12 to 18 months.
That's a good sign.
Not
for
everyone's
everybody.
going up
Right.
with it.
Yep.
This is one.
That's
of
what
those,
I'm saying. Now's the time to seize market
right.
share. If you can say
As the tide rises, not all ships are going to rise.
Some are going to sink.
Some are going to get overwhelmed
Right.
because they're tied off to the dock too low.
That's a good analogy.
And the water is going to go over the top.
Right.
And they're finished.
That's great. That's a great analogy.
It's been great being with you, Rodger.
Guys, get in touch with Mike and shake things up. Mike, I appreciate you being on Business Focus. Let's go rock and roll. This is Rodger. Over and out.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike.